Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Life Forces Podcast, a space for deep self-discovery, cultivating self-responsibility, and creating a life that you love. I'm your host, Bianca Giulioni, and I'm so excited to be back here with you after 6 months, which is really crazy, but I got a lot going on, and I'm a one-woman show, so there's only so much I can handle at a time. Especially being a mother, I also have another small part-time job on top of all this Life Forces stuff, so it's a lot, and there's only so many hours in a day. But the last time I spoke to you, we dove into all things eclipse season, and as I'm recording this, we're coming off another eclipse season, which I hope you survived. Mine was kind of gnarly, to be honest. You can read about it on my Substack, and I'm Life Forces on Substack. And you'll find that link in the show notes if you are curious and you want to read more there. Before we get into the episode, I want to tell you about a little something very exciting I've been working on. It's called the Relaxed Life Creator, and it's my first ever group program sharing everything I've learned and found success with over the past 6 years or so. I'm really looking forward to it because honestly, I love seeing clients one-on-one, but it's just not sustainable for me at this moment in time. And I also want to create something that, we'll have these amazing sessions together live, and then those can be recorded and people can access those at a later date. So, I'm creating something very actively now, and then I'll have this amazing bank of all these resources that I will just be so excited to share with people. So the waitlist for that is already open. You'll find that at the link in the show notes. So the description of this podcast episode, you'll find the link for the waitlist to the Relaxed Life Creator. But we are going to start May 14th. So in a couple months, it's going to be amazing. I'm already building out all the different modules, but basically I created this program to equip you with all the tools that I know work to help you create a life that you love, your dream life, to become more of your future self, whatever kind of thing you want to, however you want to label it. And I've kind of come up with this unique blend of different modalities and things over the years based on what I like and what I've seen success with in myself, and also what clients have seen success with, because it is a mix of, the more spiritual stuff, like for sure there's some astrology and human design in there, but then there's also like my practical approach to things and what I know actually works, and there's some mindset stuff and all of that. So if you've been feeling like, I've started 2026 pretty good, but I want to tweak things a little. I need some support. I want to know how to integrate my own unique astrology and human design and all this other stuff in a way that I can actually use in my everyday life to create change in my life. That's what the Relaxed Life Creator is for. And I really like the name because it's kind of a double entendre, if you will, because it's like we're creating a more relaxed life, because personally, that's what I want. I don't want to be more stressed. But then it's also we're taking this more relaxed approach to creating our lives instead of stress and hustle and burnout and all that. So super excited about that. You'll find the link to the waitlist in the description. Get on that because that's where you'll get access to early bird pricing and all that good stuff. So today we are going to talk about the new moon in Pisces because, I'm known for astrology. I love an astrological update, especially when it comes to the lunar cycle. I really connect with that. It's probably because I'm a Cancer sun, so I'm ruled by the moon. So I feel all the ebbs and flows of it. And I think this is a nice one to dig into because it's not an eclipse, right? We just had a couple of those. We had the lunar eclipse in Virgo on March 3rd and the solar eclipse in Aquarius on February 17th. So we're out of that. We've still got a little bit of a lingering fogginess, let's say, because of Mercury retrograde in Pisces, but we're almost out of that. Mercury is going to station direct on March 20th. And if you're not familiar, or like you've heard of Mercury retrograde before, but you're a little bit confused, essentially, Mercury is the planet of communication. It's our minds. It's how we interface with the world. Can also rule technology. So when Mercury stations retrograde, that's when we often find mishaps when it comes to communication. So miscommunications, technology all of a sudden not working, thinking a flight is at this time and it's at this time, things like that. Issues with transportation as well can happen with Mercury retrograde. So the good news is we're almost out of that with this new moon in Pisces happening March 18th/19th. So yeah, that's going to be the end of that for a little while, which is nice. So things should become more clear, less wonky very soon. And also I'll just say, like, February was a really, really crazy month astrologically. I for sure talked about it on my Instagram. I've been a lot more active on Instagram. So definitely follow me there at Life Forces Inc. if you're not following already, because it's just a very simple place for me to like quickly share things as they come. But yeah, February was an absolutely crazy month. There was just so much going on. Yeah. So I hope you've been able to stay grounded amongst it all, which I guess I'll plug. I actually have a free grounding meditation that I'm offering, and guess where you can find that? In the description. There's a little linky. Yeah. Okay. So let's get into this new moon in Pisces. So this new moon in Pisces is happening the last day of Pisces season, essentially. Because we're going to start Aries season March 20th. So we're like in the last days of Pisces season, we've got this new moon. So we're still experiencing the beginning of a new cycle, even though we're going to shift to more like Aries energy after. So this is really a time to set our intentions for the next 6 months, especially when it comes to Piscean kind of stuff. So Pisces is ruled by Neptune. Neptune is this planet of like transcendent love and creativity and spirituality and anything kind of mystical and anything having to do with like our inner world as well. We want to be thinking about all those kind of things, like intuition, for example, is another one, meditation, things like that, inner peace, deepening our compassion, also being of service. Pisces is very much about being of service. So anything having to do with that, having to do with letting go, compassion, empathy, how we're all interconnected, also the bigger picture of things, those are great things to focus on setting our intentions for on this new moon in Pisces, which again is happening kind of the evening of March 18th into 19th, if you're almost everywhere in the world, or like, you know, a good half of the world, like, you know, from North America to Europe, basically, all those time zones. Yes. So here we're integrating our eclipse lessons, our eclipse season lessons, especially on a mental level, because although this new moon in Pisces is ruled by Neptune, there's a lot going on with Mercury right now. Because it's been retrograde, and then also because in this new moon, we have a conjunction with the North Node. I've definitely talked about the North Node before. The North Node and South Nodes have to do with the eclipses, because wherever those are, whatever signs they're in, is where we're having the eclipses. So the North Node is going to be in Pisces until July 26th of this year. And it entered Pisces in January 12th of 2025. So collectively, we are being asked to move towards all those Piscean themes I shared with you, right? This compassion, this like looking at the big picture, spirituality, interconnectedness, all that kind of stuff. And the South Node is in the opposite sign of Virgo, meaning that it is not time for us to get stuck in Virgo things. We got to move to the Piscean kind of vibe of things. So Virgo is more like, you know, details, worried about organizing, maybe getting stuck in perfectionism, having everything needing to be like super practical. We just don't want to get stuck in that kind of stuff, right? We want to move into the Piscean kind of vibe, especially till July 26th. So because this new moon has this Mercury North Node conjunction, which is quite special, it's really underlining, this question of what is your mind being led towards? What new ideas are you being shown? And what are you being drawn to? Are there new mentors, right? It's also about enhanced communication, growing intellectually. So, maybe leaving behind some old beliefs or old ways of thinking, stale mindset stuff that isn't helping us. It's a really good time to plan for the future in a more big picture way. So what is this big vision I want for my life? Maybe most of that won't come to pass in the next 6 months. That's fine. But can we cast that vision? And what are the ways we can move towards that in the next 6 months before we have the full moon in Pisces later this year? It's also, themes of spirituality and creativity are very much highlighted, like how we do that, how we think about those things, and also thinking about new ways of being in service, because Pisces is very much about this like selflessness and compassion, right? So how do we bring that into our lives? How can we do that in an everyday kind of way and in the way we interact with other people? So that's a big theme, especially because Mercury is just about to station direct. So we have this last little gasp of like reflective energy, inward energy. Like that's the best use of Mercury retrograde, is like, okay, maybe things in our outer world like are a little bit wonky. Maybe there's some delays. Maybe there's been some miscommunications. Okay, let me use this mercurial energy, this, intellectual, cerebral energy to review my own stuff, right? So then the moon is conjunct Saturn as well. It's not super, super close to Saturn. Like it could be, more exact. And it's also, not in the same sign, but still, this might make the mood of this new moon a little more like serious, calm, and reserved. At the same time, Neptune is also in the mix because Saturn and Neptune are still very close. So it's bringing like an extra level of deep intuition, ideas of transcendence, again, spirituality and creativity. So great time for creativity and tapping deeper into yourself as well. Uranus is in the mix as well, forming a sextile. So there's also like this emotional spontaneity in there, this sense of independence that we really might be craving. Going back to more of the like intellectual stuff, Mercury is also conjunct Mars in Pisces. So there's this like energizing of this mind, this extra force when it comes to like what we're thinking of and how we want to actually accomplish it, right? Because Mars is action. So turning our thoughts into actions rather than just thinking ourselves into oblivion. Then we've got Venus in Aries squaring Jupiter in Pisces, and Jupiter just recently stationed direct. So with that, we're able to expand more in our outer world, because when Jupiter is retrograde, it's more about like reviewing our beliefs, reviewing how we've grown. And now that it's direct again, we might be able to expand our growth more outwards, right, into the world and things like that. But so with this Venus-Jupiter square, it's a good time to examine like where we might be giving a lot in our relationships, where we might be overindulging in general, and where we might be having unrealistic expectations for things. So that's something to look at. I want to highlight again, like the fact that Neptune is still pretty closely conjunct Saturn, right? These are two societal planets. They govern society, right? They show us changes in the collective. So, first of all, they've both recently kind of finally moved into the sign of Aries. So that's a whole new paradigm of things, right? It's more about like action, right? Aries is a fire sign. There's this forward momentum in the collective with both of those planets. I think there's also themes of war, I'm going to be honest, or also being a warrior, maybe on a personal level, whatever that means, because Aries is ruled by Mars, which is also the planet of war in addition to action. But with this Saturn-Neptune conjunction, there's this ongoing dissolving of societal structures. So I think we're going to see a lot of things on a global scale go away. Things we've been clinging on to. What those things are, I can't say exactly. I think we're also going to see new spiritual structures emerge. I think there's also going to be this emphasis on individuality in a way. Like, of course, the collective is always important, right? We have to live in community. But I also think we're going to have more of this emphasis on being an individual within the collective. Let's see about that. So that's what I see in this new moon in Pisces. There's a lot going on in Pisces, but also in Aries. So it's interesting. It's kind of, to me, representing this like shift from the collective to like this new cycle of individuality, because also Aries is the first sign in the zodiac. So I think we're going to see a lot of like new things, honestly, in the next 6 months in general. And we're going to see a lot of like old ways of ways we used to do things collectively, whether that's, I don't know, like government, banking, like different systems. I think we're going to see those transform a decent amount in the next 6 months, and definitely in the next few years. I can say that for sure. Yeah, those are the main things I noticed with this new moon in Pisces. So because we're out of eclipse season, it is a good time to like set intentions, manifest whatever kind of practice you have. Yeah, with a Pisces new moon, like definitely if you can do a little bit of meditation or doing something that gets you a little bit out of everyday life, that would be awesome. Take some time to yourself where you can. But I just want to reiterate 3 kind of key takeaways about this new moon to kind of sum it all up and share with you like kind of the 3 most important things. So number 1, I encourage you to reflect on the eclipse season we just had. So what was happening in your life between February 17th and March 3rd, but then also until now? Like what kind of things were coming up for you, especially as Mercury is finishing retrograde and about to station direct? What sort of things were emerging for you? And how can you now kind of take a new approach to some of those themes in order to grow in the next 6 months and beyond? The next thing is, I want you to plan for the future in a dreamy, creative, big picture way. Neptune, the ruler of Pisces, knows no bounds. So if you had no limits, what would you want to do with this life? Yeah, that might seem like a big question, and it kind of is, but like, allow yourself to dream that big, because no one else is going to do that for you, right? And then third, observe where you might be overgiving and where you need to actually give more. So it's this kind of dichotomy between boundaries and boundlessness, because we don't want to just be a person that has all these walls up, that, you know, can't tolerate any like differences in people, differences of opinion, whatever it might be. But we also don't want to be turbo people pleasers, you know, thinking we have to be everything for everyone. But we do need to, in some situations, give more generously, I think, whatever that means to you. So that's what I've seen for this new moon in Pisces coming up. And thank you so much for listening. Yeah, I appreciate you sticking with me with, you know, this new phase of my life, motherhood, and all that jazz. So the waitlist for the Relaxed Life Creator course is open, as I mentioned. You'll find the link in the description. Freebie I've got going right now is an amazing grounding meditation. It's about 9 minutes. I made it myself with like really nice kind of binaural beats, kind of vibey music. The audio quality is really nice. I'm very proud of it. You can find me also on Substack at Life Forces, and I'm at Life Forces Inc. on Instagram. I update y'all there almost daily. So yeah, if you haven't already subscribed to this podcast, please do. Please rate and review. It helps so much. And also share this podcast on your socials or directly with your loved ones. It all really helps a ton. I will be back very soon with the next episode of Life Forces, and I can't wait to see some of you in May for Relaxed Life Creator.